What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Technician Podcast. Now, before we get started, let's play the intro. I love that song. So I'm going to welcome my guest today, Dan Pauro. How are you, brother?
Good, brother. Thank you for having me on this platform, man.
You're welcome. Thank you for giving me your time, man. So just so everyone is aware of what you do, would you like to introduce yourself, and then we'll do what you do after that as well?
100%, brother. So, yeah, I'm a breath worker, somatic release breath worker, trauma release breath worker. I created a modality called Spirit Breathwork here on the Sunshine Coast about 4 years ago. Before that, I was sharing sound healing, playing world instruments, traditional instruments, creating sound theatre, soundscape, and that led me on to my journey of the breath, and we'll speak about that soon. Also sharing retreats, so we run in Spirit Breathwork different levels of training through the breath, introductory to sound as well, and health retreats. Amongst that, running more high vibe events as well, like your sunset liberation dance sort of and movement experiences, man, with silent headsets. Some of you people out there may have seen that.
Was that with Raw Audio or something like that?
That's with my brother Brett from Raw Audio, man. Yep. So I think I was sitting there doing some audio work with Brett, and it came to my mind, like let's do something that create an event where you're in the work, but it's not crying, it's not screaming, it's a beautiful space to be in, to shed, and it's more of a high vibe thing. So
I like
that's
that.
some of the stuff that we're doing up here on the coast.
Epic. So, and for the listener, obviously, as you just heard, Dan is very qualified in what he does, and he's very in it. So what we wanted to give you as a gift before we start this podcast is a little breath that Dan can lead us through.
100%, man. And yeah, these primer breaths that we do in our events and that we share as tools for our clients and our people and community, they are designed to bring us back to balance. They're designed to bring us back to baseline. Our baseline sits up around our neck now, man. So it's changed from when we were, from our old cultures in the past, where our baseline, we're already connected to nature. We already had that deep reverence around, our connection to animals, plants, and the earth. So over the years, with all the stress, all the pressure that's been put on us from parents, from life, from community, that's shifted our baseline. So it's a lot higher now. So these primer breaths are designed for us to go back into balance, back to homeostasis or equilibrium, so we can come back to center. And
just to really touch on that and reiterate what Dan just said for the listener, essentially, if you're driving to work and you're feeling like, if it's a job that you're sure of, you don't like it, there's a lot of stress involved with it, what you could literally do before you walk into work, sit in the car and do something like this, and it'll bring that nervous system down just that little bit, so you can walk into work just a little bit calmer than you first left home in.
100%, man. It's that quick. That quick. So the primer breath that I'm going to share today is a very common one. It's called the 10-20-30. All our breath that we share in Spirit Breathwork is mouth breathing. So breathing in and out the mouth. It's this conscious connective breath. If you haven't done that out there, family, there's no pause at the top. There's no pause at the bottom. Generally, when we breathe, there's a pause. We take a breath and we hold our breath and talk, or we just hold our breath and function. So there's no pause at the bottom. There's no pause at the top. So we're going to breathe in and out the mouth for 10. On the exhale, we're going to hold for 10 seconds. I'll guide you through this process. Then we're going to inhale and continue the repetition for 20. In and out the mouth. On the exhale, we're going to hold for 20. Then I'll guide you back into the breath for 30. Breathe in and out the mouth for 30. And then we're going to hold our breath for 30. And, for the listeners out there that haven't sat with the breath before, some things may come up for you around resistance, in the body, physical body. So just breathe into this space. If there's pain in your back or chest, just breathe into that. That will leave. Maybe a little bit of emotion, but not generally in this breath. You may see colors as well, family out there. So if you see colors, just be the witness. Just sit in that space, and you can debrief with your family later, I suppose. But it's a very safe breath.
Love that. And during this, I'll mute my mic so Dan can lead us all through, and we'll just follow along.
Beautiful, man. Okay, so just finding a safe space. Shut the doors, sitting up nice and straight, placing one hand on your heart space, one hand on your belly. Where we place our hands is where our attention will go with the breath. So in 3, we're going to breathe in for 10, exhale on the hold, and hold for 10 seconds. I'll guide you right up to the 30, and just show the awareness to the breath, and whatever comes through is supposed to come through, and allow yourself to let the mind go.
And is this through the nose, out through the mouth?
This is in the mouth and out the mouth, all mouth breathing. Okay, so let's all take a deep breath in, let go. Breathing in for 10. Nine, breathing in for 10, letting go, everything in the belly and hold. Just closing down your mind. Letting go of any chatter that may be coming through now. In 3, we'll breathe again. 1, 2, and 3. Breathing in for 20. Six. 10, halfway there. 6, 7, 8, 9. Breathing in, exhaling everything in the belly and holding at the bottom. While we sit in this space, in the stillness, in the void, just want to pay respect to the land, all the energies that have been here before us, as we sit in deep reverence right now. And just really allowing your body to trust the process. Knowing you can be here for so much longer. Allowing yourself to feel that instant sense of calm that's washing over your body now. Three, 2, and 1. Breathing in for the last reps. 30. Ten. 10. 10 more. Breathing a bit deeper now with a bit more intention. As we breathe in, just letting go of anything that's not serving you, that you've been holding on to. 5, 4, 3, 2, inhaling, exhaling everything in the belly, and holding. Inviting you now just to take your left hand and put it across your body, stretching the back out as you turn your head, opening up your lymphatic system. Just let anything come out of your ear canals, opening up your ears now as you turn, and really stretching into any tension into the body on the right side. Now turning to the left and stretching again, turning your head to the left and opening up that ear canal again. Just letting anything purge out of the ears, opening up that lymphatic system there. And coming back to center. If you feel like you need to take a breath now, please do so and hold. If you can stay and trust the body for a bit longer, please do so. Inviting you to start visualizing your chest moving in and out as if you were breathing. Accessing oxygen that lays in your fingernails, your hair, in your bones and bone marrow. Start bringing that into the heart space, into the lungs as if you were breathing, visualizing your chest moving in and out. And letting go of the breath now, or breathing in. And coming back to this space, coming back into your body. Opening your eyes.
Wow.
Yeah. That's what I needed, man.
You just feel so present. Hey. All those little things I was thinking about when I got here. Obviously, my mind's become quite calm over the last couple of years and the work I've done. And yet, I've gotten really busy lately. So there was little things coming in like, oh, I've got to message this dude later. I've got to message this chick and get this work done. That's all gone. It'll come back when it's ready.
Yeah, but it's beautiful just to let that go for that time, right? And this is why these primer breaths and breathwork is, so many people are using it right now in their life, and it keeps you in that flow state, right? When we're in that state, then we can really, or the slip lane I call it, we can really tune into our creativity, message, clarity in our life. And even like sitting here before when we started, I was like, man, before we started, I said, oh, we need to have a breathe before this because I'm very much like that, man. My mind works 100 miles per hour. And if I don't do that, man, I would not be able to communicate from the heart.
That's what I felt, that open up during that. Like, I've done this a few times because I love what you do, but I haven't done it for a while because I've just become so busy, again, using that word, and forgetting that such a simple practice that took, 10 minutes, if that.
Yeah. And literally, that's all it takes, you know. You hear that excuse, oh, I'm too busy, I just don't have time for that. And it's just bullshit.
You're choosing that.
You're choosing it. You know, it does not take that long. I have a good brother of mine, Lino, and he's like, man, I do it in the shower.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, man, well, if you can do it in the shower, you know. He's killing two birds with one stone.
And yeah, that's part of my morning routine. It's pretty quick. It's like a little stretch, you know, go to the toilet, shower, little bit of reading, a bit of breath.
Yeah.
That's it. It's like, 30 minutes maybe. Doesn't have to be these big like entrepreneur morning routines that go for 3 hours, and which is just crazy. And each to their own. You know, I've got no judgment on that. For me personally, it's like, okay, get in, get it done. And if a lot of people are like that, you still have the time. Like Dan said, you're choosing not to have the time. We always have a choice.
And how do you feel energetically when you don't do this daily practice, man?
Just not the same. I'm not as creative, and my right side of the brain is where my mastery is.
Yep.
You know, that's my genius is my creativity. It's going all day, every day. It's just that sometimes being in this business I'm in now, I can get caught up in the systems and structure.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden my genius goes out the window. I'm sure you feel the same.
100%, man. So, yeah, we are in this mainstream world, bro, and I've chosen to be in this system so I can share to the people that need it.
Yeah.
So, and part of this is what both of us do is we're in our purpose, we're in our creativity, but there's still this element of the business side, I suppose you could call that, you know, for a lack of a better word, but the business that it actually, you can get sucked into it and it really can take away that creativity. So I know this for me, you know, the social media, the advertising, the marketing, creating a new business model around spirit breathwork, what that looks like actually, which for me, I haven't seen it done before. So that's been creativity in a way, but then doing all the donkey work as well and learning these processes and structures that sort of pulls you straight out. So, yeah, so it's finding that balance, isn't it? So.
Yeah, and it's so funny you say that, because what got touched on during the week at NLP with Liz, and you know, she's super spiritual, man. Like, people might see her page and what she does and think that she's not, but she is. She's very connected energetically. But what she says is that, yeah, it's imperative that we do put the spirituality and the business together. Otherwise, the impact just can't be the same. You know, without a business structure, you can't offer those big impacts to the people that you're wanting to serve. Yep. Have these big events that you run, and, you know, then, yeah, like making money is a part of it, because you need to be able to build your business, build the systems, have the people to help, have facilitators, look after yourself with good food and everything. Because if you're not on point, how are you supposed to give the people the best? It's like being a football player. I see it in a simple form. Yep. If they're not training, if they don't have the best trainers, physios, all that sort of stuff, how can they go out and perform the best on the field?
Yeah, man, totally agree. And, you know, when I first came into this space, you know, it was years ago now, but there was some taboo around even charging.
Yeah.
You know, and every now and then I get a message like it should be free. And once upon a time, it was never free. The offerings were never free in our old cultures. In these old cultures, and even in my culture, Māori, I'm from New Zealand, you know, our healers or shamans, they're called in other countries, they were part of the community. They were part of the fabric of the community. So, you know, might have brought a chook over here, have a chook, help me with that. They're going to help you there, but they were held in exchange in however that looked.
Yep.
But then coming into the modern world, it's like, it should be free. And it's like, hang on, how am I supposed to give and be held in this world energetically with the money side of things if I'm not getting money for it? And
exactly.
am I capping myself as well? And this is what I teach deeply in our retreats, is the relationship with money and how much more we can do in this world if we can open ourselves up to receive what we're giving. You know, I was a tiler many years ago, and, you know, I used to see my tilers in the old, do you remember the ceramic soap holders?
Oh, yeah.
They're probably still there. They used to snap, and I used to do insurance work as part of some of our contracts. I used to send my tilers in to replace them. We'd charge $200, $180 for 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
You know? So I see people out there charging $100 for a session with breathwork or Reiki, and it blows my mind, because energetically what you need to prepare yourself for to tune into your client, and then after, that can really floor you for the whole day, or that can be your capacity for the day. Mm-hmm. And you're working not just with a soap holder, the energetical, the spiritual body, and especially with our sort of breath work, the trauma that can come through and what that looks like after. So,
yeah, wow.
You know, when you start looking at it like that, it's like that exchange needs to be on par for us to do this work. And I've even spoken over the years to some amazing healers and guides in the breath that we're sharing. And, I ask them what they want, where they're stuck, and the common thing, I'm like, why are you charging this much? And that common thing, that money story comes through. It comes through so clearly. And then once I start explaining this, like, what's your purpose? What's your why? What's your purpose? What are you here to do? And then we can start reprogramming that old belief.
Oh man, it's such an important conversation, and I'm so glad this has come up, because I literally stopped on my way here to you, pulled over on the side of the road and did a reel about the self-belief pattern that came up this morning, because I had a client say, because I gave them a day to think about it, right? And I knew that self-sabotage would kick in, the old programs would kick in for them, and they did, which is cool. Like, it's their journey, they'll be ready when they're ready. It just made me realize that I was once at a stage, which a lot of people are, they don't think they're worth investing, say, 3, 4, 5K into coaching that will literally change their life. They can't even say that an investment into themselves is worth it. They just say, oh, that's expensive. That's too much. Your life is too much. The big change you've always wanted for the last 10, 15 years, you're not willing to even do a payment plan to make or facilitate or at least start change in your life. That makes me sad. Yeah. And it makes me sad because I was there. Yeah. And it makes me sad that we could be judged by people externally because, yeah, like you said, we're asking for an offering in the investment into what we're worth. Yep. We know our worth. I didn't used to know my worth. And I used to hate when people sold to me because it was that old money story. Yeah. My self-worth was so low, I hated when people were trying to ask for my money because I didn't think I was worth shit. Yeah. So I'm not giving them my money. Yeah.
Well, and this conditioning done at its best. So growing up, this is how we've been conditioned over time. I was exactly the same, and I feel it's creating that trust, man. Yeah. This is where, if we can get our structure right around and how we do things, we can add a lot of value. Everyone knows the thing called the funnel. Yeah. And if you don't know the funnel out there, please have a look at the funnel. And it's about adding value and, creating your offerings that everyone can afford. Yep. So you don't have to give your stuff away. And this is what I tell my people. You don't have to give it away. You're not serving anyone by giving things away.
They don't value it.
You're recreating, you're supporting that old belief system. You can make it $5 and then it starts their journey on investment. $5 is I don't even think you can get an almond coffee for that, but you can get a standing coffee for that, Yep. But it's creating that value and trust to bring them into the deeper work. And I see it play out where people go, oh, I'm just going to run retreats now and it's this much, but there's no trust there, or there's no energetical trust or connection made before that. So it's so important that we get that right to get people into our deeper containers. Not saying that their medicine isn't super powerful.
Of course, yeah.
It's just there's a way to do it, and there's a way to actually keep the balance within your business as well and in your practice as a guide. And that's by creating these, cheaper offerings, these entry-level offerings where they can experience, and then if they choose to, they can take the steps to go deeper into the work.
I love that. And it's, even to the point where the new business that Dane and I started, Heart-Led Warriors, we really, really want to help men, right? And we know there's those old stories that are going to stop them, which we've been there before, both of us. And we're super flexible with how if there's men that truly want the help, we're flexible, man. We'll do payment plans, but it's that knowing that literally they'll sit there in their mind and say, I can't do that, I can't do that, I can't do that. But as soon as they do, let's say $100 deposit, that money energetically comes into our accounts. Instantly, their unconscious goes, oh shit, we're investing into ourselves. We must be worth something. Yep. And then there's that little belief that's just built up. Yeah. And then like you said, I'm offering a thing tomorrow night where it's like I teach people what I've done in the last 18 months. I'll give them everything. Yep. I don't expect them to come any further with me, but I'm willing to give them $100, $99. 2 hours of me just giving you literally everything that I took 6 years to learn. Yep. I'm going to give it to you in 2 hours.
See, I saw that hit my feed the other day and I looked at it and I was go, wow, if you're ever interested in podcast or coaching, like this is just too good to be true. But this is your balance, right? This is you giving and making it accessible
Yep.
for people to like launch out. And that's the beauty. You don't have to, you can give your medicine away. This is another discussion, a beautiful discussion as well, about giving all your gifts and sharing them, you know, because there's only one of you anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know.
Won't be replicated.
Well, and if it does, beautiful.
Yeah.
People are getting their medicine. If it's not with me, hopefully it's with you.
Yep. Exactly. There's no competition on the mission. If there's more people helping more people, fucking awesome. That's part of what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
But there'll just be no other technicians.
Well, this is it, man. Unless you start an academy.
Yeah, which I want to.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. 5-year plan is to have like a full-blown like training academy like Liz has with NLP, where it's like I'm able to create men and women like myself that help people to a degree that I do in my style and my source. So, you know.
And this is what we want, you know. This is why Spirit Breathwork started, actually, because I started running group and I just didn't know what these breath workers that I was bringing in knew. I didn't know how they knew how they were holding space.
Yep.
So very quickly, I had to create safety around holotropic breath work. So I was like, I need to train my people like really quickly, and then everyone is doing similar stuff, and I was like, okay, this is actually a message to start sharing my stuff, and I let go of the attachment that this is mine.
Yeah, no one
can be the same. I let go of it really quickly, and I was like, you know what? They're out there sharing. Some of them are sharing unsafely. Some of them are struggling. Let's just teach it. Yep. Let's teach everything I know and put it out there and see what happens. I work really quickly. I don't sort of plan too much. I'm straight in.
Are you like an imperfect action kind of guy?
100%, man.
Yeah, I'm the same.
I'll go reverse engineer it later.
Yeah.
But I hit it when it comes through. I'm in. I'll do it, and I'll reverse engineer how that looked.
Sell it first, build it second.
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
I'm the same.
I do, man, and I actually leave it till it's closer to when I'm actually delivering, like a month before, because it's fresh, it's clean. I've cleared everything out of my mind that I'm doing at that, before that, so I can be super, super dialed in on what needs to come through in that space. And I do have a beautiful, amazing team now that can help with that process as well, which I didn't have before when I started, and I was doing a lot.
How hard is it, bro, in the start? Holy.
It is, but you end up going back and doing websites. You end up going back and doing stuff, you know. So, but your volume, you can produce more with a really good team. So,
well, that's what I'm seeing now. Thanks to the beautiful Nadine and Dane Muller and the team we've got. I literally broke down in tears the other night during our first team meeting because I'm looking at what they do and what they support with, and I'm just like, holy shit, this is what I've been working towards. This is the people I've wanted. Like we had a little, like a minor little thing where it's like we all called each other on some stuff. Within like 15 minutes, it was sorted. I've seen things like that fester in a business for 6 months before it was sorted because no one would take responsibility. Yeah. In this one, because everyone's NLP coached, everyone's like on the level. They're like, yep, cool, done. I'll take that and move through it.
Yeah.
That's when you know that team's elite, and I'm sure your team's the same.
Yeah, and there's a big difference, like with people that are coming into the work and people that are running at a certain frequency or
beliefs and stuff like that. Yeah,
like a certain stage on their journey. And this is a human being that is not only amazing in their modality, but also amazing in the modern world as well. Yep. And it's that crossover that you were speaking about before, like spirituality and the mainstream and the mainstream world, like crossing that over. Because like it or not, we are in it. We are in it, and our shift and change has to be in this reality. And
the people we want to help are in it deeper. So it's like we want to be a part of it, to move through it, to process it, to allow people to potentially be pulled out of it, but then still work through it as well. Because at the end of the day, like you said, we're in it until we're dead. It's like it's part of our life, it's part of our universe, and it's part of our family and our friends. So if we can just navigate it a little bit better by having the modalities, the knowledge, the mindset, the everything, it just makes it a little bit easier.
A whole, brother.
Yeah, a whole. Yep. So, man, we've already smashed out 30 minutes. We should probably get into your story.
Maybe it might help. It's up to you, man. I'm having a ball.
I'm loving this because it's, I think with mine, the intention behind it is to always flow where it's supposed to. That just then was a perfect conversation around exactly what Dane and I have been talking about for the last few days, and then exactly what was on my mind leading here. And I know that having done that breath, that's exactly what came through that needed to be spoken about. So it's led to a really beautiful spot. So, I mean, getting into your conversation though, where'd you grow up? Where'd you come from? How'd you get here? Let's go to that.
Get here. All right, to that. Let's just go right back.
Yeah.
So I was born in Australia. I was born in Subiaco, WA.
Yeah.
So everyone thinks I'm from New Zealand. I was born there. I grew up in Subiaco until I was 11. So interesting story there. My father was a shearer. We had a few uncles live in this small country town called Wagent, and I had cousins there as well. And I've got two brothers, Shay and Kyle. They're over in New Zealand. Spirit Breathwork is sharing now, and we grew up there, and it was interesting. I was there till I was 12, and I'd never felt like I belonged. You know what I mean, man? I was always good at sports. I was a great footy player.
Was that rugby league?
No, Aussie rules.
Yeah.
Aussie rules there. Our neighbours were the Materas. Philip Matera, Peter Matera. Peter had moved out by then. He was a Brownlow medalist. He played for the West Coast Eagles. So, everything was footy then, but still didn't feel like I belonged. We were the Kiwis that were Aussies. They called us Mozzies, And, so the black fellas didn't really accept us, the Australians. They liked us because we could play football, but we didn't feel like we belonged, right? And that was made known. So, leaving Australia back to New Zealand, my old man was a ex-bikie, so Highway 61 back in the day. He moved us over to get away. So in his conditioning, still brought us up in the best way he knew how, and love him for that in his conditioning. But his idea of getting us ready, for what we were about to face in New Zealand would be a lot different how I get my kids ready. He come from a place of trauma in New Zealand growing up. That's why he left, so he was preparing us, and in the way he did that was, the language he would use would be, you got to harden the fuck up. You're fucking pussies. Your cousin's going to beat the shit out of you. You fucking Aussies, stop talking like that. But in his way now, I see that it was him trying to get us ready.
Just doing the best he could with what he knew.
Well, what he knew, man. So, And then for anyone out there, it's just a really great example that, we take what we need from our upbringing or from people around us. We don't, and they are in the conditioning, a lot of people. So just let that land. So moving from Australia to New Zealand, I was about 12. Rugby was, the first 2 games I had, I made a rep team. Didn't know how to play. They chucked me on the wing and
speed demon.
Could kick and catch.
Yeah.
So you're on the wing, you're fullback. Made this team called the Tritons, and then I was like, this rugby game's pretty good. I'm going to play rugby now. So did that. So moving over there, I really did felt that disconnection and lost. And even though once again sports was the thing that connected me back to everybody.
You felt like you were part of something then, right?
Yeah, and I belonged.
Yeah.
I was accepted.
That's huge as a kid too.
Yeah. But in saying that too, I didn't know to speak the reo, the language. I didn't feel accepted still within the culture, the culture. And that sort of played out for me right until I was a teenager and an adult as well, where I created this belief system that, even though a lot of mates were Māoris, that Māoris they had it out for me, my own people. Because I experienced a lot of racism up in the North Island.
Yep.
So you're Aussie, you're white, I'm whiter than everyone, and I experienced that. So that started, really creating evidence that, you don't belong in your own culture, And this was coming from a place I realize now that a lot of these brothers, they would go through shit at home. So that's
just projecting it onto you.
Projecting, man. So I understand it now, but what it did for me was created a really toxic reality around my culture. So I couldn't go into a bar or without picking a fight with the biggest, blackest dude in the bar, right? So that became my outlet, was violence. Okay, so that was a big part of my growing up. They got me locked up a few times. The longest time I spent in jail was 2 years. That was for a GBH. And I've got I'm happy to speak about this. I've got
I was going to
nothing
say,
to
yeah.
hide around this, man. And
Yeah.
it was, I've said what I needed to. I've done what I need to do around that piece in my life, and what I realized, that image of that big black man, that was my father. I didn't realize it till I was a lot older, and until I forgave him, then I could start to integrate and to start healing. But that journey had just begun for me when I was 17, 18. At that stage, I'd been playing rep football, Canterbury Bulls, rugby league then. So Canterbury Bulls, I was playing from age group and then seniors. And then, getting locked up. So, the last stint that I had in Pauro prison in Christchurch, I remember getting in there and, that last stint, what happened was an altercation with another sort of street gang, and some things happened. I got locked up, and then, they put a hit on me, right? So before I went into jail, I was on the run for a couple of months, right? And my father, in his conditioning, I had to move my parents out at 17 at their house, and he dropped off a gun so I could protect myself in his conditioning. So this is giving you an idea of my mentorship, I suppose, and my eldership. And then I was looking for them, and then they were looking for me, a big group of them. And then I went to jail, and I get in there late in that first night, and my cellmate was actually one of their right-hand men.
Man.
Okay, so I'm looking at it, and I'm like, what are we going to do here? And that was the start of that last stint. It was a pretty toxic time. This is probably another chat for another podcast, and go right into that.
Right, 100%.
It was, through that stage, there was other gang members in there that I'd punched on with at bars. They were in there for shooting up the casino, and so it was,
And you were what, 17?
I was 17, so they didn't put me in juvie because I thought I'll be right in there.
Fuck, so you're in there with full-grown men.
Yep. So because it was so overpacked, I was in there with we're in 23-hour lockdown for 2 months of that stint, because they just were transitioning us into different places, and we had murderers in there, we had you name it, man.
Yeah.
They were all in there, and I still didn't I felt like I belonged.
Oh.
I was like, I should not be here, and I suppose everyone sits in there and says that, but what that did for me is gave me time to sit, and there was a space there. It was my lowest point, and it wasn't for long. I was an angry young guy. So there was a point there, my partner had left me. I'd cheated on her at the time, and she'd left me, and it was sort of happening, but then I was like, no, it's over. And then it was the first time I ever thought about, and only time I've thought about killing myself, right? So I grabbed a towel, wrapped it around, there was these old heaters that went up on the roof. I wrapped it around and slipped it around my neck, and sat on the edge of the bed. And for that split second, I was like, how does that feel? Am I going to do this? And what came through for me then was like, nah, you're just going to take it out on the world now. So I took it off, and I went back out into cell block, and I took it out on other people there, which was a really low point for me in my life. And then leaving after that stint, I was like, I don't want to go back there. I'm done. I don't want to go back there. Alcohol was a big driver, man, for my trauma and for my violence. Rugby league was this place I could take it out on people. Someone could punch on, could hit me, could punch at me on the field, but I didn't fight back because I could get them anyway. It was more of a mental thing.
I feel that. I resonate with that big time, because it was like my wounded masculine only came out in the football field. I could never feel like I could use it off the field and set boundaries and say what I felt and all those things.
Yeah.
So people on the field copped every little bit of suppressed masculine I had.
Yeah.
So you can imagine the shit that I was doing to people on the field.
Yeah.
I was a grub on the field.
Yeah, 100. Well, and and that was the landscape for me too.
That was your outlet.
My outlet.
Yeah.
And they're like, why do you not fight on the field, but you're just a loose unit off the field? And on the field, they can do anything to you. And I was like, because I'd rather get in their head and make them scared of me so they run away.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So that played out, and that it ended up, sort of, rugby league didn't go any further than the Canterbury Bulls for me, man, and it was quick and in the senior level. I found Class A drugs then. And first time I had them, I was like, wow, I'm a nice guy on this. Everyone wants to be around me. Before when I was drinking, everyone would be shooting off at 11 o'clock. All my mates, they wouldn't want to be around me. They'd be like, oh, get out of here.
You start to get violent.
Yeah. This is the thing. So I found that, and then that became a really big problem for me. And a learning for me over the years where I OD'd in Melbourne. It became a really big problem in Perth as well until I found my beautiful wife, Holly. So I have 5 children. I have a boy that's 20, a girl that's 9, Anaya, Malachi's 20, and 3 triplet girls. So Anaya, Ari, Indy, and Skylar.
Beautiful big family.
Oof.
How old were you when you met her?
Oh, that's a good question. 28.
Yeah,
28.
gotcha.
So I was still running amok. I was still in it.
This is only, 12 years ago?
12 years ago, man.
Yeah.
Yep. So I was still in it, man. I was still fixing in WA then. I'd come back from New Zealand, and she had a boy, and I didn't even want children, and love will just, change everything, brother. Love will change everything.
Yeah.
She had a boy, and I decided then and there that I needed to make a change if I was to be in this relationship. That was my third relationship of my life. So I didn't have partners for long in my life. I was a bit too reckless.
Going into that, was there a mindset of you wanted to be the mentor that your father never was to you, sort of thing?
For me, it was that I didn't trust myself enough.
Yeah.
So I wasn't ready to be a father. So I chose not to drink alcohol. I gave up alcohol, drugs, a lot. And I removed myself from, at that time, my friend base that knew me for that person. I know it hurt a few of my friends back then, and it's understandable. I just sort of disappeared, man. I'd shed friends a few times over my journey, and that time I really felt that, they felt like I left them. And it had nothing to do with them. It was them accepting me in my faults and how easy it would be for me to slip back into a pattern if I was with them.
You needed people that were going to bring you up.
I just needed to remove myself to find myself, man.
Yeah, do the work on yourself.
Yeah. So that was beautiful. I decided to make that change. It took about 2 years to detox. I didn't even know to communicate with people properly without drinking or getting on it. My language that I spoke it's all swear words, man. I did not know how to communicate properly. Very early on in that journey, I started a tiling company called Silver Fern Tiling. And, that's where a lot of my growth came from. So I see people doing, courses with Tony Robbins, Joe Dispenza, a lot of amazing coaches and things like that. And I see the content in them and I'm like, wow, I've started to dissect my growth through the business. And it was just done so organically for me. And it was probably the only way that I would have sunk in anyway.
Yeah.
So things around manifestation happened, things around new belief around who I was. And, I think like a real pivotal moment for me in that business was, I was always a hard worker. I was great with people. And, that networking created a business really quickly. So over the first year, we had 3 employees. And this is a guy that couldn't spell or use email, so I had to learn to do this stuff, So I started breaking through a lot of blocks there around what I could do. And my why behind it was provider. So that was the driving force. I remember sitting in a car park in the city of Perth and I had a meeting with Rio Tinto. And I'm sitting there, I'm in my work clothes and I am shitting myself. I'm literally scared. And I'm thinking to myself, and I'm still pretty unconscious then, right? This is a couple of years into the business and I'm thinking, why am I scared to go up there? And I couldn't figure it out. I had to sit there for a while and I was like, I'm not scared of any man. I'm not scared of any man. Put me in any situation there, I'm fine. But why am I scared of these men up here? And then I figured out it's about them exposing or knowing that I'm dumb. All right, this was a massive belief system that I had that I was dumb. I'd been held down. I'd been labelled with dyslexia. So I sat in that car, and at that moment I made a decision. I said, well, I'm not going to leave. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go up there. I played it out. this is what's going to happen. They're going to start talking. I'm not going to know what they're talking about. And then I'm going to tell them, I don't know what you're talking about. If we're going to work together, you need to speak my language. That was my game plan, bro. So I did that. I went up there, and sure enough, we sat down. It was really intimidating. There was a big round table. There was a few people, GMs, project managers. There was a project up in the mines. So I'm sitting there. They're talking about JSA swims and all of this stuff. And for me, it was like, what is this? And I just said, look, you're gonna have to stop there. I said, look, you know what my team does. We're great workers, but what you're talking about, I do not have a clue what you're talking about. I said, if this is gonna work, you need to help me here. And so I asked for help in that space. And
fuck, that's big.
It was for me, man.
Yeah, no, it's huge, man.
They turned around and, the guy running the meeting was like, that's the guy we want to work with. That's the companies we want to work with, the guys that are here to do good work, and we will help you with that. Their ego dropped, their language changed, and they're like, this guy's going to help you. He's going to run you through this. And then, that for me walking out of that place, that was a huge shift for me. It was massive,
I watched that play out at the NLP week a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
People too scared to ask questions because they didn't want to sound dumb in front of everyone. Right? And then the big thing Liz said was like, guys, you need to ask for what you want.
Yeah.
Otherwise you'll never get it. There was a day where it was like she was testing us. She kept the class going and going and going until someone asked, hey, can we leave? Like little things like that. It's like you can always ask for what you want. And yet we've been indoctrinated to believe that we can't, or that we are seen a certain way if we ask a question. It's like, hey, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. There's probably 50 other people in the room thinking the same thing. And you just gave them the permission to feel, oh, okay, cool. It's okay. I don't understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Those other people don't either.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and I've been in them spaces and someone's asked the question, I'm like, yeah, sweet.
Thank you, bro.
I was thinking that. Thank you.
Yeah.
And that's how I found my voice, and that changed so much for me, man.
What a moment. And you don't forget that, hey? You probably never will.
There's parts of my journey in that business that really fast-tracked me on my journey, but I see it for what it is now. And, it helps me guide people through that process as well when we're doing trainings and they're coming up against these blocks and these old belief systems, this old information that comes in. A lot of that was all learnt really organically through that business. So I'm really grateful for that time in my life, running that business, and that carried on. Manifestation throughout that, where it was a successful business. We had 14 tilers, we had painters. At one stage, we had a demo team, started epoxy flooring, this sort of stuff. So I started to learn business my own way. I started aligning myself with entrepreneurs they had what I wanted. They had warehouses, they had the big teams, the big fleets. So organically, I started gravitating to guys and creating friendships out of tradies that had these businesses, so I could learn.
Moving to the table you wanted to sit at.
Yeah, but I didn't realize that was a thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The beautiful relationship I have with my brother Shay. He's my older brother, so he'd done a lot of work around business, in businesses and commercial businesses and stuff like that, and he's seen my journey unfold right through the good, the bad, and the ugly. So. And, he was great to really bounce off, because every time I'd go through different shifts in my business, he'd be like, you do know what you're doing there, eh? And I was like, nah, what is it? And he goes, well, this is the actual thing. This is what people are learning right now. So right throughout, he's been sort of like, really confirming that, you're on the right track, so.
That's huge, man. Like how much older is he than you?
He's 3 years older.
Yeah, cool. That's massive, because it's like, I'm understanding now that I'm the eldest in my family. I've got 2 little brothers and a little sister. And the knowledge I have, I want to give it to them, but I don't want to force it on them. So it's like, I could teach them so much about like business and money and mindset and breath and connection and all these beautiful things I've learned. But I also learned very quickly, because when I was doing the work when I first started, I was like, you got to do this, you got to learn this. I had to pull myself back and be like, until they ask and they want the information, I'll just be more of what I want to see in the world. And eventually, by leading by example, they might be like, hey, Trav, can we sit down and have a chat for an hour and just talk about this, this, and this? And when that happens, and especially for friends too, like if they ask that, they say, hey man, I need some help with this. Cool, I'll give you my time. But it's learning about, and clearly Shay did it in the right way, because you took it as like a a positive thing, not like, fuck you, I know what I'm doing.
You
You
know,
know?
it's just that sounding board as well, man. And yeah, I resonate with this as well, that what you're saying about people got to be ready. If we, you know, we get excited and I was like, wow, you'd be great for you.
You gotta know.
You got to know this. You got to know this. But if they're not ready to receive, then it's not going to land. And there's a perfect example of my last two brothers, my only two brothers.
I was gonna say, hold on.
My only two brothers. They came into my last two retreats.
Gotcha.
Right?
Yeah.
I'd never really spoken too much about coming to retreat or learning what I did. And they came and trained. And I was like, oh, sweet. You want to come in? This is awesome. Perfect timing. Now
And I bet they took heaps from it too.
They're out there sharing, man, and you know, really dropping into this medicine, and it's part of their life. So yeah, timing is key, and with family, you just gotta hold the light until they come. And if they come through, beautiful. If they don't, this is beautiful too.
That was a big realization too lately, is that you know, knowing that I've had so many beautiful friends and people support me on this journey. I used to have this mindset of people that haven't supported me, a little bit of like, oh, fuck you kind of thing, like you didn't support me. Now it's like, no, it's cool. I understand. It's all love, you know, like if I've made you feel uncomfortable by my changes, that's cool. I understand that because I've been there too. It can be uncomfortable. It can be this feeling of like, oh, they've left me. He's doing this. And that was never my intention. But if that has happened organically without me realizing, I also apologize. But I don't apologize for me doing my work and growing. You know, it's like if that has happened, hey, my bad. But also all love.
100%, man. And this is that thing of we can't take everyone with us.
No.
You know, and we just got to honor where we're at and where they're at also on their journey. And, you know, the beautiful thing is you're probably noticing now in your life that people are coming back into your vortex now from your past. It can be a lonely journey, right? When you start shedding friends and start moving forward, it can be a lonely journey. And I've found that as well. And now it's at that stage where people are coming back. I just got a message actually yesterday from a brother that I used to go to school with since I was 15 over in NZ. We used to run amok, man. Patrick Horaki, and I just texted him this morning as well, man. And he was just, you know, sharing some gratitude around what I do, what I'm doing now, and that he's on his journey now as well.
Ooh.
And you know, these beautiful messages come in now. So,
because I could imagine when you first started transitioning from tiling into what you're doing now, how old were you when that transition started to happen?
The girls were born, so it was 6 years ago, so 34.
Gotcha.
34.
Yeah.
6 years ago. So 34. So that transition for me, that's a whole nother story, man. I'll speed it up though. I had an awakening. I had these beautiful triplet girls, and they got sick. We gave them from their vaccinations, like their 6 month normal thing. And that, for me, my partner Holly, that really created an awareness around, wow, what is this stuff we're pumping into our kids? It's not by chance that they're all sick now. They were perfectly fine. Nothing helped them. Alternative medicine did. So essential oils, that was the only thing that cured them. We tried everything, man. So my beautiful wife, she started a doTERRA business, and within that year, she was a global, what do they call them?
Rep or something like that, yeah.
That's
like,
it.
Does she know Elise Nichols?
Yeah, I know her too.
Yeah, she was in my potty, one of the first guests I had on. Yeah. She was amazing. She brought me a little pack of doTERRA.
The whole food, daily whole food.
Yeah. She's amazing.
Yeah, she's a sister, man. And yes, beautiful lady, man. So she was on the journey with us as well. And for me at that stage, I was using the oils on myself for like gym and that. And, you know, so for, you know, to give myself more energy, to help with sports rub and stuff like that. But I didn't realize that it was working on an emotional level as well. So in that community, they had Reiki healers, they had, you know, different modalities wrapped in that community. So I started meeting that tribe and laid down for Reiki, had a profound experience. And I was like, I need to know more. And me being, you know, off the booze and drugs for 4 years then, it was like, wow, this is some of the experiences I was having on ecstasy.
Yeah.
Almost, you know, like the visions and stuff through Reiki. So I was like, I got to try it, and I absolutely loved it. And then sound healing, I was, what else is out there? Me being having an addictive personality, what else?
Let's go deep.
Let's go deep, man. There was sound happening. So I went to a sound healing. I got up off that floor and it was profound for me once again. And I said to the guy, he was Julian Salisbury from Perth. He's an amazing sound healer, plays digits and stuff. And I got up and I didn't hug people then. I gave him a hug. It was really awkward. And I was like, oh, yeah, I gave him a hug. Should I do that or not? And I said, I'm going to be a sound healer. And he looked at me and goes, yes, my brother.
Yeah.
6 weeks later, I ran my first one. So I got on Google, grabbed a dig, grabbed some bowls, and I got 16 people in a room. And then I started running them monthly.
And you just learned it like that.
I taught myself.
Man.
I started running them monthly, and then, we're getting 30 people, 25, 30 regularly. And that's was the start of my journey. Didn't know quite, I knew what I was doing, but I didn't know why I was doing it. So
here's a question, which will be a great segue real quick. In this journey, did you find that you met the right people at the right time?
100%.
Right?
They
It's
showed
just, I feel like when you're really in this space, the right people you're supposed to meet, there's no coincidence. Everything happens for a reason, I believe.
Yeah.
I met Tarzan when we started our little event, Breath Brew Barbecue, and he just popped up out of nowhere after our first one. Well, not out of nowhere, somewhere in the creator space. And he goes, I love what you boys are doing. Let's catch up. 2 days, we meet up with him at lunch with him and Mick. And he's like, I love what you boys are doing. I want to sponsor you with my Manifest Kombucha. And just like that, we have this incredible mentor and human who is backing us. He's turning up to each event to spread the love with everyone. He started doing ice baths and breath work and everything, loved it. And, he's now sponsoring this podcast with Manifest Kombucha. So shout out to the people that come into our lives during this journey. I've got so much love for Taz and what he's done in his family and everything, and that kombucha is going to take over, bro. So they're offering home delivery in the Sunny Coast soon. So if anyone wants to get into that stuff, come to our events, buy them at Greensmith Grocers at Batinia and a few other spots, the Real Grocers at Caloundra, I think. So he's just popping up everywhere now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I had a good stalk on his page, and I was like, this is like the Aussie Wim Hof.
Literally, yeah.
Straight up, bro.
And so, he met another dude recently who's exactly like him. So now that he's in this space and people are starting to see him more for what he is, most people know him from Survivor. He was on there a couple of times and did really well. And now he's an actor in movies and stuff. Right?
There you go.
And he's just the most chill dude that just lets stuff come to him. And the reason I bring him up is I know for a fact, without even asking you, I knew as soon as you started this journey, like you just said, everything just started flowing perfectly.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was ups and downs.
There was the challenges, man.
Yeah.
There was the challenges of identity around it. A lot of women were coming on stuff, and I'd cut off the masculine because of, obviously, you guys know a bit about my past now. That was all masculine, but toxic masculine, not
that wounded stuff.
The wounded stuff.
Yeah.
So I'd cut it off. So that was like relearning, and it wasn't really till I got here on the sunny coast 4 years ago that I dropped into men's work, and that changed a lot.
Who'd you do it with?
Oh, Blaze Grenner.
Blaze, yeah.
Brother Blaze.
Yeah.
Up here on the coast, and I remember my first men's circle. It was a hike, man, and we just circled up, and I was like, wow, it was something that activated in me, that changed in me instantly then. When I found that piece, that missing piece, and brought it into my life, that's when my community grew. That's when I was able to be myself. I didn't give a shit what I wore, how I spoke. I could really speak from my heart, and just my people then came in. I wasn't trying to be anyone. I could be myself.
That's huge, bro. That men's work is what shifted a lot for you.
Yeah, man.
And now that we've just gotten into it, I knew that was where it was going to be the big changes just doing something like that. Getting 20 men to come on a walk up to a waterfall, do a rage release or something.
It wasn't even that. It was the circle up and
talking,
just speaking, man.
Yeah.
And being held and being witnessed
by other men.
It was as simple as that for me.
Do you think it was important for it to be all men and no women in there? Yeah.
It had to be men.
Yeah.
Why? Because I'd created a belief that men, my masculinity was detrimental to everyone around me and myself. Right? So that reprogramming happened instantly in that space. That led me on to men's work, running men's stuff. I became a facilitator with BV and started running that stuff as well. For a period, we ran some men's retreats as well with Conscious Warriors.
Is that Preston Smile stuff?
Blazers It's his own stuff, man.
Okay,
BV's Blazers creation
Oh,
up here
gotcha.
on the Sunshine Coast. So
Yep.
if there's, anyone up here wanting to tap into that, Bloke's Ventures is a beautiful and amazing transformational 3-day retreat that he runs up here. And you're running stuff up here soon too.
Yeah, we've got first one in December, literally at the same place we have our BBB at Yamundi, just around the corner from here.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's going to be gun. It's called Resolve. So it's resolving all those things in our lives, the things that we are really struggling with. And yeah, it's the beautiful name of it with the Heart-Led Warriors came from me meeting the beautiful brother Dane in literally 2 weeks ago. And as I said, I feel like I've known him for a lifetime. And we meet people like that. I'm sure Blaze felt like that when you first met him.
We're brothers, man. It's a kindred souls meeting again, me and that bro. And he was just here a week ago, and he's getting married soon, my brother. So congratulations to him.
Congrats. Shout out to Blaze.
And you meet some people, man, and you don't have to live in each other's pocket. It's the same every time you see them. You might see them, not see them for 6 months, but as soon as you meet them that you've done it before.
Yeah,
you've done all this before.
Yeah, I had that moment at the first ripple effect we had. I was it was after the men's war pit section, and I was walking all the men over to the corner with brother Jay Godfrey from the Gold Coast, and I looked over at him, and I was like, "Fuck, we've led an army together or something before." Because I just felt that we both smiled at each other, had like tears coming up, like, man, we've done this before. We've led like a warrior tribe somewhere before. So I feel that. That's cool.
For anyone that's experienced that, that's like a clear indication you need to be doing some work in this lifetime together. So it's a clear indication that you've done it before, then something big is on the horizon for you and that soul. How
could you explain that in the simplest way to someone listening? If you meet someone, do you feel it sort of physically, do you believe, or you just know?
What you do is start questioning, where do you know them from?
Yeah. You're like, how have I seen you before?
Do our kids go to school together? I know you deeply. Did we go to school together? Yeah. You start checking it out, and it's like, no, we didn't. and
I don't know you.
Energetically in your body too. It's when they speak, it's like it's so easy. Yeah. You sit there and it's like you don't have to entertain. You just boom. 5 hours goes past and you are just, That's
speaking. What's happening right now. We've talked for an hour.
Have we?
And it's just flowed so well, and I agree entirely. Is that I think the most beautiful thing about being in this work and doing this stuff and having gone on this journey, I do have mates for life now that I've met in the last 3 weeks. You know what I mean? And people hear that like, what do you mean you haven't been through this? You haven't been that? They're like, nah, this is what happens when you call someone into your life. Yeah, this is what they can be. This is the depths of connection you can have.
And you become more aware too. Yeah. On your journey, the more work you do, you become more aware of these meetings that can come through as well. And you just know, you just know, man.
That's cool. So as you started to step into that and you had that experience with the men's and the healing and everything, is that when business was it Spirit that you started with? Like, was that the name of everything?
Yeah. So I moved here 4 years ago. Let's just go back to Perth. I'd shut my business down.
Tiling was done.
Tiling was done like a year and a half before I moved to Sunshine Coast.
Were you still making crazy money too? Like, was it a hard thing to leave because you're like, oh, the money's so good and everything?
Bro, we were very held in our money, man. So I never looked at money. It wasn't a thing, man. We had the big house. We had, all the cars. I had 2 Harleys. I had a Camaro. I had everything that I set out to get in that space. I knew it wouldn't bring me happiness though, right? My kids brought me happiness. But yeah, it was functioning. For the last, year and a bit, I'd hardly go to work. My soupies would run it. And I just knew, man, that I can't explain how I knew. I just knew I'd let that go quite easily. What happened was the identity shift. Like, shit, who am I without that? Everyone knows me as Dan, the Tyler, running that business. So there was an identity shift that happened, and and I know there was some relationship stuff as well that came through with me and my partner around me shifting out of the security that a man holds with obviously abundance as well, like moving to a new state, things like that. And I gave myself a timeline. So we got here, we shifted it. I actually gave the business away to a couple of my workers over there that are still running. I just split up the work, shut it down, sold the gear. I didn't have the capacity or knowledge to be able to create a business get all the working parts to sell that business. Like
Gotcha. Yeah.
Working manual.
Like a turnkey sort of thing.
Well, it wasn't. Yeah. Well, I was the business.
Yep.
I was estimating. I was doing a lot, so it would have been going back in and creating systems. Didn't have that awareness then. Got rid of it. Came over here, and I said to my wife, "Yeah, I'm getting rid of everything. I'm not tiling again. Like, this is it." Before that, I shot off to Kenya, did some main work, and came back, and I was like, "Nah, this is what I'm doing now. This is the gig." Breath came into my world over in Perth. Wasn't sharing breath. It had kept popping up with people I was collaborating with and breathing myself, and that came into my vortex here 4 years ago. But Spirit Breathwork was a year after I'd been here. I created Spirit Breathwork and Conscious Warriors community up here on the Sunshine Coast. So about the same time, I was a busy guy. I created a men's group straight after doing a bit of men's work. I wanted a fire circle up here that was close to me, that would fit in with my life, that were my people, men that had done so much work that were ready to transition. And that fire circle blew out within weeks. So we had, within weeks we had 50 men at a fire circle. I was doing hikes up Noosa Mountain, and that group literally grew. It was around Christmas time. It grew within 2 to 3 months. It grew to 400 men.
Holy shit.
Blew up, man. And then I was like, oh, there's something missing here. These men are opening up, they're connecting. I know they're partners as well. But I know they weren't taking it home. So there was a big problem there for me.
Gotcha.
I identified quickly, and I was like, okay, I need to create a community where they can come together and do some stuff, which isn't invasive, it's entry-level stuff. So we created Conscious Warriors community. At the same time, Spirit Breathwork was created as well. So 2 different communities I'd created pretty much at the same time. Tried all the things, creating roundtables, things like that. That didn't work for me, but found the sweet spot. So, the men's stuff ran through Conscious Warriors, the hikes, the beach stuff. We running beach stuff. Started running beach stuff up here, and then Spirit Breathwork at the same time. So, traveling around, sharing the breath, and training a lot of people through Spirit Breathwork. So they both still run, and we're at this beautiful stage now in Spirit Breathwork where it was always going to be a global brand, which I could work with and create a model that actually empowered the masses, where I could teach everything as well. So legacy, it's a big call, and this is the call that's come through for us. That is a legacy that we're teaching, that we're sharing out in every facet of this model and this business and this purpose.
That's huge, man. And I know you're going to make a big difference, because the last Spirit Breathwork facilitation I came to, I think it was Heart Awakening. Was that Biwa?
It was.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And man, even just the experience I had there, I had even some still, like, the masculine was still coming through me big time. And I was roaring like a bear. And the experience I had after that, I knew something big was coming. So I told you how my car, you don't see my car very often. It's a very particular 2004 Nissan Maxima. It's old school. It's a gun car. Literally after I left that event, I pull up to the local Shell station at BOR. I'm sure a few people know of it. Fucking 2 other exact same cars are there. I've never in my whole entire life seen my car more than once.
Yeah.
And in that one moment, there was 2 exactly the same model, same color. I think the number plates, one of them had like a 777 or whatever. And I'm just thinking, okay, what the hell's coming? And then I see, like, there was another moment where there was 2 number plates the same as I'm driving home, and then this weird experience with birds and just so much crazy shit that people would perceive as crazy. I knew something was coming. Sure enough, some big shifts happened with my coaching, my brand, the podcast. I started meeting some people that were like taking me to my next journey. You reached out not too long after with the potty and stuff, and then we were going to work together. And then I got really sick. I got sick for like 8 weeks. And I'm talking like I nearly died at one point. And I just kept it real low key. I was like, you know what? I'm trusting this process. I feel like I'm being broken down to be built up again. Sure enough, I just have the most profound experience of my life a week ago, 2 weeks ago. And during a breathwork facilitation, I experienced my past life as an Aztec warrior. And I'm sure there's people listening that are like, what the fuck are you talking about? I wouldn't be saying it if I didn't experience it. I saw everything. I saw myself sending warriors into another tribe to kill them because they just killed all our women and children. I experienced myself coming back to the village and seeing my wife and kids dead. And you see that on video. People recorded that of me screaming that guttural scream of having seen someone you love killed. And then the last vision was like me seeing the chiefs around the fire and them saying to me, how could you let this happen, brother? You're our guardian, you're our protector. And then I just was saying over and over again, forgive me. I didn't see them. I'm sorry. And I kept saying that over and over again, apparently. I sort of remember it. And then one of the guys got one of the facilitators to come over and speak into my ear and say, we love you. We forgive you. It's okay. And that healed something deep in me, man. Like some sort of shame and grief that I had ingrained in me from a past life that I was super unaware of. It would have been unconscious, right? And I felt so different the next day. Energetically leveled up again. And then that's when Dane asked me to be on the team. Right? So this is the power of breath.
Breath will give you what you need.
Man.
You know, and it ceases to amaze me the experiences that happen for people through the breath. You know, no breath is ever the same.
No.
Every time you go into the breath, it'll bring up pieces that you may not want to see or you really want to see, but trust that it will give you what you need and in perfect timing. And I'm so it's beautiful how you touched on after the breath, things came into your vortex, things came into your awareness, but you got to be open to see them as well.
Yeah.
So some people I've experienced, they'll come into the breath and like, yeah, not much happened. And it's like, sure about that?
Yeah.
It's not how it looked from this end.
There was like a dragon that flew by them an hour ago.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
But some of it is that, you know, a week after, like the things that come into your vortex and being aware of these opportunities. And this is another thing that's so great into manifestation, I suppose, is like, yeah, it's being aware of these things that come into your vortex. You know, when you are manifesting, because it just doesn't, very rarely it lands straight on your lap. You got to do some work to get these things, to get to these places.
Oh, dude, that's a great point, because it's now that is the difference in my life. I'm ready for all these opportunities that are coming into my life, because I've been manifesting my entire life. Most people are. I'm speaking it into creator, into source, whatever it might be, the universe. It's giving me what I want and I'm ready for it. So there's opportunities such as yourself, you know, asking you to come on the podcast, being open to that, having done the work and prepared to be able to know that, yes, I can facilitate a conversation with Dan Pauro. Whereas some people that might not have done the work, they might have questioned themselves and be like, oh, nah, I couldn't do that. That's Dan. That's the guy that runs Spirit Breathwork. You know, that's some stuff that can go through people's minds. So if you're not ready for the opportunity without having done some of the work, when you do go through, say, breathwork or meditation and the universe opens up a little bit, then yeah, these beautiful things might not happen like you said. It's huge.
Aho, brother.
Oof, that's big.
Resonating with that.
Yeah, and I mean, if you were able to explain to the listener those visions I just explained, what is it that's going on during that time? That would have been a moment of DMT release,
yep.
Right?
So, you know, through the breath, you can go into these altered states. And it's our mind going into lower states and lower frequencies. So, you know, there's a thing called rebirth that can happen. You know, so as our breath gets softer and softer, generally, we can go into this altered state of consciousness. So when we can get into our theta brainwave, where our mind's totally removed, the breath can help us get us there, and it taps into obviously there's natural DMT in the back of the brain. So when it hits that, it explodes. And this is where vision, message, and guidance can come through, man. In Spirit Breathwork, we have two breaths. We have a trauma release pattern, and we have more of a rebirth pattern. There's a modality called rebirth breathwork. It's nose breathing, and it's a very similar way we hold this container, but it's still mouth breathing, right? In Spirit Breathwork, and this is a fabricated like space where people can go into this altered state. Okay. So there's a lot more silence in the one-on-one space when we run this. And visually for a facilitator, it's we see the body shut down. Body's hardware. It's just like a computer. When it gets jammed up, you can pull the plug out the wall and then reboot it and it starts again. They say 5 minutes, right? With technology. Same in the body. Same with the physical body. So what that looks like for us in rebirth, the body shutters in and out of consciousness. The breath gets softer and softer. The client will come in and out as if and forget they're breathing, like, and go back into the breath again. And then all of a sudden they'll stop breathing for up to 4 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes. And it's an uninvoluntary breath hold. And then they go grey, they look like they're dead on the ground. Okay, like literally they don't even look like the same person. Then they go, they wake up, and this is when that message comes in. They've gone so low in their brainwave that they've tapped into this DMT, they've tapped into this altered state in the body, and they've woken up, they've had these messages. This has all come through, the visions have come through, and generally it's very unconscious. It's a very unconscious, it's not a physical experience. Yep. It's all astral. Ideally, this is where I want to see people get to. Everyone sees the big cathartic releases through what we share, and this is a beautiful space to be in too, where we can cleanse the energetical, the physical body of trauma trapped in the physical body. Yep. So ideally clearing and cleansing that to get to the rebirth.
That's a great way to put it.
To where you are now.
Yep.
You're sitting in our last heart awakening, and it's going through that bear roaring, cleansing out that. But now into the last breath, you just sat with 2 weeks ago into this more astral, more clarity, more vision, and back into past life regression sort of stuff. Cleansing the physical body. Cleansing the physical body.
Fuck. So I think I said this to Roy on the last episode, what you've just brought up again. So it opened up a realization to me that what was rebirthed during that time was the warrior that's sort of been in me the whole time. Because I know for a fact when I left that week of training, I was an entirely different person, and I saw that person 3 months before that in the mirror during a experience. I looked at, and what I thought at the time was my wild man. I thought that was the inner wild man that I was trying to tap into. So like the really masculine, controlled, integrated masculine. Yep. So the scary looking Trav. When I looked at this dude, man, his eyes were just like, oh fuck, I don't want to mess with this dude. I realize now what I just unlocked is that man I saw in the mirror. Because my energy, the way I hold conversations, the way I speak, it's more penetrative. Like I'm just more sure of myself. I take what I want with the intention of giving. I'm still a good man, but there's no more Mr. Nice Guy there, which is what I've been my whole life. And that's what was, birthed during that.
And this is beautiful, brother. And to have that awareness that you can have these really healthy boundaries and give without, still be, not Mr. Nice Guy, but still, you can be that gentle warrior, man.
100%, heart-led.
A real warrior comes from the heart, man, and shares from the heart.
Yep. And calls people on their bullshit because they love them. It's like, I'm doing the best for you.
100%, bro. Whether it's what they want to hear or not, and this is, if we can sit in that reverence around how we share in the world, then people may not want to hear it at that time, but it's the right thing to do.
Yeah. And if they don't hear it the way that you expected them to, they're just not ready. And we just continue to hold them with love. And when they are ready, then cool, we're there to help support them through it. Yeah. Oof, that's huge. So I guess now with like your journey, bro, like thank you so much for sharing. Like, we've already done an hour 20 and I knew this was going to be an amazing podcast and I feel like we could do 6 more and still get so much value from it. But I also want to respect your time. What's the next 12 months look like for you and Spirit Breathwork?
Thanks for that, man. Yeah. So in the next 12 months, this year, we're running events all over Australia. Obviously, we're in Newcastle next week, running Heart Awakening. I'm just lining up a couple of a short tour in New Zealand, December. We have in 2 weeks we have our Breathe, Feel and Heal retreat on the Sunshine Coast. We still have a couple spaces left for that, and that's transformational retreat through the breath, through movement, through dance, through practice, education. December, we have the last level 1 retreat on the Sunshine Coast, facilitated training. And that will be number 7 for the year. So 7 retreats we've ran this year. And I really need to look back on how many events I've ran throughout this year because some have been triple events. So it's been a busy year. Next year, it's global. So we're opening up our, vortex to this global connection. And, I sort of leave every 2 months just to see, 8 weeks. I book in every 8 weeks, but we'll be hitting places like Hawaii,
Ooh.
back to NZ, still doing some events in Australia. There's a Bali retreat in March that we've already booked in. There'll be a retreat in New Zealand as well.
What date's in March?
First week in March. Yep.
Is that like a week long or something?
It's 6 days, man. So if you're wanting to get on that, let me know because it's already filling out.
I kid you not. So Liz got us to do style goals at the last day of the training, and it is now, little close to it. It is now 4th of April 2023. I'm in a tropical island drinking Coronas with Christelle, and there's 150K in my bank account that I'm looking at on my phone. So, there's no reason we couldn't go to Bali for a month or something, and the first week is a retreat.
Well, there you go, man. Hey, I'll stay with you.
Done. Easy, man.
Oh, there you go, man.
Okay.
We'll see if that pans out.
Let's put it out there. I've put it out there. That's happening. Cool.
Yeah. Well,
man.
So, next year is we have level 2s as well that we run, and we have our first facilitator practitioner trainer. So we are sharing out and teaching people in Spirit Breathwork who are ready to come through how to run retreats, our level 1 retreats, and to train level 1 facilitation. So that's big for us. And obviously planting these all over, man. So we're going to Seattle. We're going to, we've got a host in Egypt. So we'll see how that plays out.
Egypt.
I don't know
way,
why.
that's gone.
So Dubai is calling me for some reason. Yep. I don't question it. It's probably the most unpractical place to go. But it's calling and it's sitting there, and I'm like, okay, I'm supposed to go there to do some stuff. Let's have a look at that in the next year. So next year is a massive year for us, man, and we're really excited and to be sharing, and yeah. I
just saw you on top of something like the Khalifa, is it called, in Dubai, the tallest building? I could see you on like a penthouse area with like this grassed area, taking a heap of like multi-billionaires through some breath. And there's a shift in that culture because of that.
Well, yeah, I do feel that we're going to make a shift there. That's bringing people back to themselves. Yeah. I like the penthouse vision though, bro. I'll run with that. I'm
envisioning. Did you see Will Smith's YouTube documentary that he did?
I haven't.
Fuck, that anyone hasn't watched that yet, watch it.
Yeah, right.
It is amazing because he runs off to Dubai while he's writing this book and everything. And they start filming him there. And it's the most beautiful place I've ever seen. I've never seen anything like it. And there's one point where, they show like this penthouse where there's like artificial turf. There's like a gym. Just looks incredible. And what I just saw was you. I don't know if it's that building or something that looks like it. Just people laid out on that grass.
Well, you heard it here first, family. So
man, I just put that out in the universe for you.
Yep, you put it out there, and we can repurpose this, man, when we get there.
Yeah, wow.
Beautiful, man.
Yeah, no, so thank you. Now, if whoever wants to find you, what's the best place to find you at?
So the best place to find us is on Spirit Breathwork on our Instagram page. Dan Pauro Sound Healer on Facebook, but all our events and our upcoming retreats are in our link tree under our bio on Instagram. So just reach out there, family, and look forward to connecting. But just want to, show some gratitude, man, for you and what you're doing here on this planet, brother, and the heart you have behind what you do, man. I've gotten to know you. I feel really well, and kindred souls once again, brother. So
I feel that.
Yeah, man.
I feel that. Like it's happening really quickly. Like we said before, the people that are supposed to come into your life on this journey, they're just getting thrown at me right now. And it's, like Shani's like one of my best female friends ever. I love that woman with all my heart. And I met her at the first event we ran. And the first thing we met on was I just tapped into my masculine for the first time off a football field. Then we had to go sit in front of the women and share our biggest shame. My biggest shame was money. So Shan, do you imagine what she just saw the other day? I posted a reel about my transition over the last 2 years and how I've finally broken down all the money stories and I'm finally making good money and stuff like that. Man, she was in hysterics because she experienced the shame I shared with her around it. She was crying. She was just like, she's so proud. And I was just like, fuck, that's cool to be able to share that moment with someone like that. And knowing that our journey had only started not only 11 months ago, right? And we're going to do events and stuff together soon too.
She's a beautiful sister, man. I've spent time with her and been in these containers as well with Shen.
Well, she's the reason I wanted to do Spirit with you, because the way she experienced it and the way she spoke about it afterwards, it was just like, you need to do this. It's worth way more than what she paid, you know? So shout out to Shani, and, you know, shout out to you yourself, brother, for what you're doing and the shifts you're having, you know, in the culture too. So one thing I wanted to touch on before we go, Conscious Warriors, that is still going?
Conscious Warriors is still going to.
Cool,
So
awesome.
Conscious Warriors community, there's an Instagram page for that as well. We run stuff every month or so. We'll run beach stuff up here on the Sunshine Coast, Coolum Beach. And this is a beautiful entry-level offering for people coming in. It's $5 and it's hours where I bring the, you know, it's beautiful on the Sunshine Coast. I have so many amazing brothers and sisters that are sharing, and this is where it's a platform for them to come in and share their medicine, qigong, yoga, sound healers that come in there that are in our community that share. So there's a bit of diversity there.
I love that. We'll have to do a collab or something down the track, because that's what I see. I see all the brothers, like all the men's work stuff coming together. Like we said, no competition on the mission. Dane's down the Gold Coast mainly, so we've got a lot of brotherhoods down there that are starting and opening up, which is cool. So I was like, let's tap in and have one big space where we all come together, all do the same thing, and then help however we can.
Beautiful, man. This sounds good, bro. I look forward to connecting with you on that.
Yeah, and thank you for this podcast. This was epic. I know this is going to hit some hearts and some souls. And thank you for the listener for taking the time to have a listen. Obviously, we'll be back again very soon. I'm about to venture down the Gold Coast and smash out like 7 or 8 this week. So I've got them all banked up, ready to go. And yeah, keep an eye out for the next guest. But thank you so much, bro.
Much love, brother.
Yep.
Thanks
Let's go.
Protect